Greetings, my name is Charles McCaul, and I am the Director of Mentoring Growing Leaders. And this is the 7th and final lesson in a short series that we're doing as we're working our way through John C. Maxwell's book, Relationships 101. And if you haven't viewed the first 6 chapters, the first 6 lessons, I really encourage you to go back and start from lesson 1. You can study them independently, they're very worthwhile, but also they build upon one another as well. And so if we're talking about leadership, and of course John Maxwell is almost always talking about leadership, if we're talking about leadership or we're just talking about normal everyday life, relationships are essential. Relationships are the foundation of success. And I've been working with people for more than 45 years in my profession, and it's my experience that many of us, if not most of us, have relationship issues, that we lack relationship skills on how to get along with our siblings, how to get along with our spouses, how to get along with our children, our parents, our bosses, our employees, our neighbors, government officials. Every sphere of life, there are challenges in relationships. And I have a series of lessons. It's called Leadership 101. I would encourage you to check that out on my YouTube site. It's several lessons, 11 lessons I think, on Leadership 101. And one of those lessons is developing skills with people. Really encourage you to take time to at least view that one lesson, but this lesson as well. We're talking about a Relationships 101, what every leader needs to know. And this lesson number 7 is how can I serve and lead people at the same time. A lot of this has to do with our concept of what leadership is. And you know, I'm watching the news every day, and I'm watching our American president. I'm an American citizen. I'm watching our American president, and I'm watching him exert excellent leadership. We're in this COVID-19 crisis right now, is when I'm filming this, and I'm watching President Trump, and let me just say this, there are many things about his character and his personality that I don't particularly like, and I don't agree with, and I'm not supportive of, but I admire his leadership. He is taking the lead, but he's serving, he's working with others. He's not taking a dictatorial role and just telling everybody. He makes bold statements and he knows where he wants to go, but he relates to a team of people and they work together, but the final decision will rest with him. That's leadership. Sometimes we have the idea that I cannot be a leader and serve others at the same time. That's not true at all. You can be a leader and have strong convictions and know where you're going, and yet also you're serving other people, which really means that you have the best interests of other people in mind rather than your own personal interest. I think if I could summarize how can I serve and lead people at the same time, leadership is knowing where you're going to go, but it's you're leading because you have the best interests of other people in mind, not only your personal interests. We're not saying you don't have personal interests, but you're considering how you can bring betterment and bring good and bring positive results to other people at least as much as you want to bring positive results to yourself, if not more. And so John Maxwell puts under the title of this chapter, you have to love people more than you love position. And that is the question that you and I need to answer. Do we love people? Or do we tolerate people? Or do we actually dislike people? Do we love people more than we love our position? John Maxwell, in the first couple pages of his this chapter, he tells the story of General Norman Schwarzkopf saving a soldier during the Vietnam War. And General Norman Schwarzkopf became a general, and if you're from my era, you recognize his name. He's very famous, very competent leader. And during the American-Vietnam War, he was a colonel at that time, Colonel Schwarzkopf. He took command of a weak battalion. They were at the bottom. and he worked with them over a period of time, and he brought them up to a high level of standard, high level of service in the military, where they could take on greater responsibility and be more effective for their cause. And so that in itself is leadership, being able to take something that doesn't exist or something that doesn't work well and to transform it so that it rises up and is able to take on new challenges. That is leadership in itself. But as a result of his developing their capacity as a leader, they were sent to fight in a particular area in Vietnam that was filled with landmines and booby traps. Filled with very dangerous, you could step on something, you could get caught, you could get blown up, it could explode, it could pierce you. And so it was a very dangerous mission. And there were many tragedies, and many soldiers were injured and died as a result of serving their country and engaging in the battle in that area. And as a colonel at the time, whenever there was an injury, Schwarzkopf would get on his helicopter. See, he was at the base and they were on the field, and so he would get in his helicopter and he would fly out. Every time someone was injured, he would fly out and visit them, because he was invested in them not just as an army, as a battalion, as a large group of soldiers, but he was invested in them as individuals. He cared about them as individuals, not just as a mass. And so he would get in his helicopter, he would fly out, and he would visit them. On May 28, 1970, his helicopter went to transport a wounded soldier, a soldier who had stepped on a landmine or something, and to transfer him back to the hospital. And while they were in the process of carrying that soldier onto the helicopter, another soldier was injured, and they realized this was a minefield. There were landmines all over the place, and this man had stepped on one, and he had injured himself, and he was laying on the ground and he was thrashing around. And Colonel Schwarzkopf knew that he can be saved, he can live, he can survive, but if he just keeps thrashing around like that, he's not going to survive. He's going to hit another landmine. And so Colonel Schwarzkopf was the highest level leader of that battalion, and he could have commanded any one of his underlings, any one of his soldiers, go get that guy and bring him back. But he didn't. He did it himself. Colonel Schwarzkopf, he walked gingerly through the landmines field, the land field, and watching out. He said one step at a time. He said he was so afraid he had to pick his leg up and move it to the next step, and he's looking for these landmines all over the place, but he made it out to the soldier, and he held the soldier down, and he calmed him down until they were able to extract him, put him on the helicopter as well, and get him back to the hospital, and he survived as well. And so the point is, even though he was a commander, and he could have commanded underlings to do the job for him, he was committed to the degree, I have to do this myself. I have a personal investment in that man's life. He has a need. I know that I can meet that need, and so I'm willing to lay aside my priorities. I'm willing to risk my life to be able to serve him. And John Maxwell points out this is an example of servant leadership. The next section of his book is entitled Having a Servant's Heart. And John says, when you think of servanthood, do you think of somebody at the lowest level of job? Somebody that is serving you and working at a minimum wage, and they don't have a high education? Is that what's in your mind when you think of servant leadership? And you think, no, I'm not going to do that. Sometimes these workers, have you ever been into a place where the worker is there to serve you, but they don't care about serving you? They're playing with their phone, they're talking with a friend, and you're waiting to be served, but they're not giving you the attention. Have you ever been in that kind of situation? It's frustrating. So just as you can sense when a worker doesn't want to help people, you can also easily detect when someone has a servant's heart. You can tell. You go into a place, you're in a group of people, and you can sense this person doesn't care about me. This person doesn't really have a vested interest in me. This person is not interested in serving me. But this person seems to really be interested in me. This person really seems to value me as an individual. And the truth is, as Maxwell says, the truth is that the best leaders desire to serve others, not themselves. Often we get into leadership because we want prestige, we want a name, we want money, we want recognition, we want others to serve us. But John Maxwell says, and I believe it, and it's been my philosophy as well, is that great leaders serve other people. They're not just in it for themselves, but they're in it for others. And I want to encourage you, whether you're a leader or whether you are a leader at some level, and you can be a leader at some level. I have another video series on my YouTube called The 5 Levels of Leadership, and I urge you to take time to watch that as well. But you may not consider yourself as a leader. Nevertheless, you can invest in other people. You can serve other people, and it can bring great benefits to them and great benefits to you. John Maxwell brings out 5 characteristics of a servant leader in this chapter. Number 1, put others ahead of your own agenda. This means you're a leader and you have to make decisions. Sometimes you have to make decisions and not everybody will agree with your decisions. A leader has an intuition. A leader knows on the inside which way to go. But nevertheless, at the same time, you can put others, there are times and there are places to put others ahead of your personal agenda. Be aware of the needs of other people and be available to them. I could mention a few leaders, not too many, but I could mention a few leaders who've done this in my life. They are high-level leaders, they are very busy, they are very famous, and yet they take time for the individual. They pay attention to what's going on, and they see a need. They see a lonely person. They see a person that is downhearted. They see somebody who has potential, and they reach out to them. They put others ahead of their own agenda, at least for this moment in time or for this season in time, to reach out to them. Number 2, one of the characteristics of a servant leader is they possess confidence to serve. Some people don't want to lower themselves down. They think that they're lowering themselves down if I serve others. If I pick up the trash, if I pick up the drinking glasses and move it, if I sweep the floor, if I arrange the chairs, if I do something at a lower capacity, then it is beneath me. John Maxwell points out that how we treat others is how we think about ourselves. If we treat others really low, we appear to think of ourselves as being really high, but really on the inside, we see ourselves as really low. We are rude to others because we feel like that others are rude to us. We have a low self. What John Maxwell is trying to get out is that we have often high-level leaders have low self-image, and therefore they're rude to others, and they don't what they consider stoop down to some low level to do something that is beneath them. It's the wrong way of thinking. It's the result of a wound that they have. It's a result of a hurt that they receive somewhere. So how we treat others is a reflection of what we think about ourselves. If we value others, it's because we value ourselves. If we look down on others, it's because we look down on ourselves. Only secure leaders give power to other people. And only secure leaders are willing to serve other people. If you're not willing to serve others, if you're not willing to lay your agenda aside, if you're not willing to allow other people to rise up, maybe it's because you lack personal security of who you are as an individual, who you are as a person, who you are as a leader. The third characteristic, servant leaders initiates service to others. Great leaders see a need, they seize the opportunity, and they serve without expecting anything in return. They see a need. There's a lonely person, there's a needy person, there's something here that lacks, somebody needs to step in and do something, and so they step in and they do it, they seize the opportunity, and they do not expect any recognition, they do not expect any reward. They simply do it because it has to be done, and I know that I can do it. The fourth characteristic of the servant leader is not position conscious. not thinking about rank or position. Well, I'm way up here, and if I do that, they're way down there, and so I can't relate to them. It's not appropriate for me to even talk with them. It's not appropriate for me to associate with them. Or I'll do it only for showman's sake. I'll do it to be able to get attention because I deserve more. I'm much higher. I'm much better. Servant leaders don't think that way. Servant leaders think of every person on the same level and every person having the same value. And number 5, servant leaders serve out of love. They don't serve out of manipulation. They're trying to manipulate the person. They're trying to manipulate the circumstances because they want something. They want to get something. But they serve simply because they love. They want to help. In conclusion, John Maxwell gives us 3 points on how to become a servant leader. Number 1, perform small tasks. You can start today. You can start tomorrow, tonight, by doing something small to serve other people. Look around you where you're sitting right now. What needs to be done that you can do? Is something messy? Is something out of order? Is there somebody that looks lonely? Is there somebody that looks sad? Is there somebody that is in your mind right now that needs something? Start right now with small acts. Perform small acts. Make it a habit on a daily basis to perform small actions that serve other people. Number 2, John Maxwell likes to say, learn to walk slowly through the crowd. And he just means that pay attention to people. Walk slowly through the crowd. Pay attention to the people that are around you. Pay attention to the person that is serving you coffee. Pay attention to the person who is cleaning the streets. Pay attention to the person that is opening the door. Pay attention to the student that is sitting by themselves. Pay attention to what's going on in people's lives. And number 3, move into action. Move into action, do something. Don't just talk about it, don't just think about it, but do something about it. In conclusion, 3 things for you to think about. Do you love people? Do you sincerely want to see others succeed? Is that what your desire is? You want to take who you are and what God has done in your life and the skills, the experience you have in life and invest that so that others can succeed? Do you really love people and want to see them succeed? Ask yourselves in your true heart. Number 2, are you a person with personal security? Or do you feel intimidated by others? Do you feel that you have to prove yourself to others? You have to be successful, you have to accomplish something, you have to be loud and boisterous, or you have to be up above or something? Do you feel that you have to prove yourself to others, or do you have personal security that, you know what, I can lower myself down, if you want to look at it that way, if I can do this lower level job that is beneath my salary, that is beneath my position, and does not affect my personal identity at all. And number 3, are you willing to come down to another person's level to help them? Are you willing to come down to another person's level to help them, or do you expect them to serve you? That is a key way of thinking for any leader. Are you willing to come down to another person's level and help them, or do you expect them to reach up and to serve you? Thank you for listening to this. If this video and if this video series has been helpful to you, I'd like to ask that you would share the link with others. Just click on the link and post it on your Facebook or email or however you want to communicate it with others. Share it with others if it's been beneficial to you. I'd like to ask that you would subscribe to this channel and that you would click the like button and click the bell button so that you're notified the next time that I upload a video. And I believe that you will have great success in life as you learn and develop the skills that are necessary